Welcome to the DYNAMO Show. I am James Erdt and I am your host. I am the Chief Architect of WOW for a company called DYNAMO Entrepreneur. We support entrepreneurs in living well and doing good, really taking that oxygen mask and putting it on themselves again, reminding themselves that food, fitness, family, finances, and fun, having that life balance, you know, in your professional and your personal life so you can give back to the world. We have somebody that gives back on a big scale today. We're going to get things started with Michelle George. Welcome to the show,
Hello.
Michelle.
Well, pleasure to be here.
Yeah. I'm so excited to have you here. I'm such a fan of your work. You know, you do such great things, and you're the leader of the Portuguese community for lawyers, and you're doing all kinds of wonderful stuff. You know, especially in the field of law. And I know you're giving back on a big scale. So
Thank you.
before we get into that, I'd love to learn a little bit more about Michelle. Let's maybe take it back to your younger years. How did you get started?
Sure. So at the age of 4, my parents gave me a wonderful gift, and they actually decided to move back to this small island in the Azores, which the name is called Flores, but in English it translates to flowers. And
or
the
paradise.
reason why, pretty much, it's the Hawaii of Europe.
Yeah.
And the reason why it has that name is because it literally has hydrangeas lining all the roads along the entire island, and it's an absolutely majestical, beautiful, mystical place, and a beautiful place to grow up and to have your childhood memories develop. So it's, at the time I didn't appreciate the experience, but today it completely shaped who I am, and it directed my life. I do. I haven't been back to my island in quite some time, but I do go back to the Azores, and was just there a couple of years ago, and absolutely loved it, and it was wonderful.
Must have changed a lot, or no?
You know, for sure. There's a lot, it changed in many ways, and it's exactly the same in so many other ways, but absolutely. But there's still very untouched, beautiful islands. Nature is the dominant feature, and it's a beautiful, beautiful getaway.
When did you come again?
So we returned when I was 9 years old, and we actually came back just because my parents had to renew their passports, and here we are.
Okay, very good. Welcome back.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
So it was just a few years ago, because I'm not much older than 9.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Any, you know, when you come from another world like that, you know, you speak a different language. You know, you have different cultures, different religions, different ways of doing things. You know, you come to a new country, a beautiful country like Canada, where it's all inclusive and tolerant. You know, and there's a lot of opportunity for everybody. You know, what got you started on your path to law? Because I know that's it's a long road to a lot of schooling.
Absolutely.
You know, so maybe share a little bit about that.
So I was actually an immigrant in my own country, because when I came back at the age of 9, I had forgotten how to speak English. So when I came back, and even from the time that I was there, there's this little voice inside me, which I really did not think about probably until more recent years, when I started thinking more about life and life experiences, that basically there was this drive inside me to go out and do bigger things, to help others, to have a platform. to be able to make change. And I was always very strong-willed from a young age, always very much about equality and never a follower, strong opinions which sometimes would clash with others, but that didn't matter to me. It was just from a very young age. People that have known me since I was a child will probably describe me that way. Not in a egotistical, I'm always right type of manner.
You planted your flag.
But yes,
Yeah.
and I wasn't afraid to stand up for what I believed in. So in high school, in grade 11, the absolute best class that I had throughout my entire high school experience was law. And my favorite learning experience as a high school student was having to debate capital punishment in grade 11 in law class.
Oh, wow.
If I remember anything about my high school years, that's what I remember. And I absolutely loved it. And I had to debate against capital punishment, and still today I feel that it's not for humans to decide. I think that's beyond us. That absolutely drove me in that direction. So I knew from very early on that I wanted to be a lawyer.
Wow. So I know you have a very unique practice, and it's very niche, and I like that because, you know, in today's world of the Walmarts, you know, and you got, you know, something for everybody in these generalized stores. When you go to the internet as a small business person or somebody that's an entrepreneur, you know, it's very difficult to be recognized and ranked, you know, on search engines like Google, etc. But when you become that specialist like you are, when you have this niche that you're kind of dominating, tell me about that. Like, tell me about your practice. Why is it so specialized, and why did you go in that direction?
So I knew from very early on that I was interested in personal injury. My favorite class in first year of law school was torts. And I always knew from the beginning that I wanted to represent the little guy. I've never had an interest in representing corporations and representing insurance companies, and I know that I would not be happy as a lawyer if that's what I was doing. We focus very much on providing one-on-one attention to our clients. We are not a volume practice. We give our clients access to our cell phones. Clients contact me on the weekends.
Oh, wow, great.
We're very, very focused on client care, and we're very focused on moving our cases forward aggressively, but not rushing to settle our cases, because we want to make sure that our clients are taken care of and that they're protected and their needs are taken care of into the future, because we're dealing with a very vulnerable portion of society. Unfortunately, people whose lives have been completely changed within a matter of, you know, sometimes a split second when they're involved in a collision or a slip and fall or fall ill and have to pursue long-term disability or whatever the case might be.
I'm sure you got all kinds of great stories, you know, like fulfilled with, you know, the joy that it must bring to a family, not just the individual, because there's a ripple effect, you know. When you say that split second of being in a car accident or whatever, it's not just the individual that gets affected, it's the community at large. And it really comes down to what do we do for that individual? How do we support that individual? And are they being served justice? You know, it's so money driven. Everything is money, 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 either saving money, winning money, making money, etc. But to really come down and show that individual that we care, like you guys do with a practice like you have, versus supporting the big guys and these big corporate conglomerates that make it go away. You know all about that. You know, let's talk a little bit about the cases that you handle. What type of cases is that?
Sure. So a lot of the work that we do involves accident victims, so motor vehicle collisions, whether it's with a car, trucks, pedestrians, bicycles. We do slip and fall work, dog bites, insurance disputes, product liability, and any type of personal injury, basically, we focus on. And my partner and I, this is the only area of law that we have practiced for our entire careers, and it's very important for us to be very focused and on top of what's happening in the law in order to make sure that we are always properly advising our clients and that we're always properly protecting their rights and getting them the best settlements possible. Because at the end of the day, like you said, there is what's involved is money.
Yeah.
But what the key is to make sure that there is sufficient money to take care of their needs into the future, not just when the case settles, but what happens to these accident victims 10, 15 years from now when they're not able to work, when they need medical care that isn't covered by OHIP. It's very important that you work together with the victim, with the family, to ensure that all their needs will be taken care of as best as they can be.
Now, do you give back at all? Like, I know we met through a lovely lady named Rosanna, so you know, shortly, if you just want to touch a little bit about the philanthropy that you do, because I know it's so wonderful and I'm a big fan of what you're doing.
Well, yes, absolutely. My partner and I, we feel that it's very important for us to give back, and we feel that it's very important for us to support causes and initiatives that are congruent with our core values in business and our core values as human beings. So a number of events that we have been involved in and continue to support are, we get involved in an event that gives out a scholarship every year to a student in the Portuguese community. We have been involved in events that raise funds for medical care overseas for people who can't afford it and need emergency surgery.
All kinds of awesome stuff. I'm sure there's a big list. I would love to, with this last 30 seconds, let them know how they can get a hold of you, if you don't mind.
Sure,
before we go to
absolutely.
commercial break.
So I can be reached at Jewel Radamises George, LLP, Personal Injury Lawyers. Our website is www.jrjlaw.com. My email is mjorge@jrjlaw.com. And my cell phone number is 416-301-2760.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. That's Michelle George, rock star, lawyer extraordinaire. Thank you so much for coming. We're going to take a short commercial break and we will be right back. Welcome back to the DYNAMO Show. I am your host, James Erdt, and without further ado, we're going to bring to the show a dear friend of mine. She actually runs the newspaper Snapped Mississauga North. I love the paper. It's a good newspaper, and there's so little good news, you know, coming out of all these different production channels and news channels and even from the internet. So to really have something that's pumping positive energy like this woman does day in, day out, let's welcome Mona Osman to the show.
Thank you, James. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here and a privilege to be on your amazing show.
Oh, thank you
so much. With a great personality like you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. You know, some of the things that you do in the community, they need to be mentioned. You know, you're one of those people that kind of go behind the scenes. So I'm actually honored to pull you out from behind the scenes and allow your light to shine, because it's time. It's time to spread your wings and really let the community know who is Mona. But before we do that, let's take it back. Let's take it back a step to maybe when you came to Canada, some of the challenges that you encountered both in your personal and your professional life, and then we can talk a little bit about your career, because I know you had a big career before you made this big move.
Yes. It was actually a family decision to move to Canada, and for sure it wasn't for the weather, because I'm still getting used to it.
Yeah.
So it was a family decision, and it was a decision that didn't take much to agree upon, and we moved to Canada because simply Canada is a great place to be in.
Oh yeah.
It's an amazing place to work.
Yes.
It's an amazing place to raise a family in a secure and safe community, as
Big
you know.
time.
So that was mainly the decision, and plus Canada has a great opportunity.
Yeah.
So we decided, why not come here and create our own opportunity.
Yeah. So very different from home, eh?
It is.
Big difference. What would you say the main? What would you say the main difference is for, take for example, an entrepreneur?
As an entrepreneur, it's not that different, because like an entrepreneur everywhere. But I mean, it's a new community, it's a new culture. So that's what makes it a bit challenging. But then again, it's a good challenge, because I love challenge, and I'm glad we moved.
Now, I know you had a really successful career. You know, you were doing something that you were just grooving. You were a rock star in that career, you know, at the top of your game, and then you just made a shift. Why the shift? And maybe tell us a little bit about the career and the shift.
I started my career in advertising and media, and I was working from Lebanon with a multinational company. And then after a couple of years, I moved to Saudi Arabia, where I was the first female to open a multinational agency there. And that was a challenge in itself, because I don't know if you know, like in Saudis, females are not
big difference
allowed to work. And I stayed there for 9 years, and then I moved to the head office, which was Dubai, for 3 years. And throughout the career, it was all challenges, but a challenge in a good way. And it just groomed the person that I am in today. And then the decision came that we need, sorry, as a family, to move to Canada, and we did it. It's a major shift, but I mean, if I was able to do it there, then I'm sure I'm able to do it here.
Now, with coming to Canada, you know, did you get right into what you were doing, or were you just like, you know what, I need something new. I need something that's a little bit different than what I'm doing, because what you're doing is different than a lot of products out there.
Exactly. I came to Canada, and until I settled in everything, it took quite some time to adjust to everything around me. And once I did, I started looking at opportunities, and I started with my passion, which is media and advertising. And another passion of mine is helping people and being part of the community and helping the community.
Big time. Thank
so
you
I
for
wanted
that.
to combine those two, but unfortunately I didn't know how. With those two, to combine them together. And then my brother, I was lucky enough, because my brother, who's in investment, he came across Snapped. And he goes like, why don't you check Snapped? And it's media and it's community, and that's what you're passionate about.
Care to share with the audience a little bit about what is Snapped?
Snapped,
just so they have an understanding of what we're talking about.
Snapped is a franchise newspaper, and it's spread across Canada. But every area has its own Snapped. So I own the Snapped North Mississauga.
Woohoo! My neck of the woods, Marilyn Monroe Towers, baby.
Yes. And I can say it's the #1 community newspaper.
Yes, it is.
There's no other community newspaper out there. And Snapped is all happy.
It is.
You know,
it is.
Happy faces, happy events, anything related to your community, anything that's happening in the community.
Oh, I love it.
Whether it's an event that hosts one person or an event of 1,000 people attending. We cover it all. We like happy news.
Good news. Accomplishments.
Exactly. And in addition to that, we help small to medium businesses getting out there in the community.
That's right.
Because as you know, it's very expensive when it comes to advertising.
It is.
But with Snapped, whatever the client invests in their ad, we invest 5 times more in getting his message out there. And how do we do that? Through editorials, through articles, through event coverage.
Giving them a voice, you know, allowing them to share.
Exactly, and through event coverages. And this is where our clients, and I don't call them clients anymore, they are mainly our advertising partners.
And friends.
And friends.
You know, they become friends. I remember back, I would say about 5-6 years ago, I was actually on the cover in Oakville. So I came across Snapped, you know, a little ways ago. There was a lady named, oh, Jesus. I forget her name now. She introduced me to it originally, but then the owner, he came to me and he was like, you know, can you do an article at kind of every issue? And I was like, I could put it aside for a sec. But then when I actually got into it, I started writing tips for them, right? And then they got you know, became a friend. Like I was saying, they became a friend, and eventually I ended up on the cover of it on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
It was awesome, you know, when it came out, and just the notoriety that that brought me in the small community of Oakville. Everyone knew my face.
Exactly.
And that's what you're doing for people.
And
you're
that's
giving them a voice. You're allowing the community to see who they are. So I commend you for that. It's a really, really great project, and I know everybody loves you. You know, you put up a post, and everybody's liking like crazy, and now they actually get to see you.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, honestly, James.
You're very welcome.
Yeah,
You're
this
very
is
welcome.
what Snapped is all about, helping the community, being there.
Yeah.
Because the success that we get is the success for the community.
It so is. Now, are you doing any big projects with it, or coming up, or other projects? 'Cause I know you were involved with the absolutely fabulous women from our dear friend Rosanna. And high five for you, because you won the Achievement Award. How great is that, like, of the entire community to win the Achievement Award? How did that make you feel?
Honestly, I was shocked.
Ah, shocked. You had no idea.
I had no idea. I knew I was doing something right, and I knew people were happy with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I thought
obviously.
it was only a small time frame. It was only 6 months since I started working on Snapped. And I got an email saying, you were nominated for the Absolutely Fabulous Woman. And I said, wow, that's amazing. And I hope I can do more so that next year I will win.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think I'm gonna win.
You planted the seed.
Exactly.
The seed manifested quickly.
So after only, I think, a week, I received an email saying, congratulations, you won the Absolutely Fabulous Woman over 40.
And that's great, because that's a
40.
big group of ladies. There's a lot of ladies in that group.
For the Achievement Award.
Yeah.
And to me, that was the success.
Good for you, good for you.
And you know, when they say, when you talk about success, I realized that, yeah, I did it.
Yes.
In a short period of time. And the fun part is I didn't have to brag about it or mention anything.
They did it for you.
They did it for me.
And I'm going to do it for you again. Mona is awesome. She's a rock star in our community. Thank you so much for coming.
And you rock.
You know, I appreciate it so much. That was Mona Osman, everyone, from Snap Mississauga. How can they get a hold of you quick?
You go into our website, Snap North Mississauga, and please don't forget to submit all your events online. We cover everything, and you have a voice at Snapped. And don't forget to like our Facebook page.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, that was Mona. I'm James. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we will be right back with Wayne Mouland. Welcome back to the Dynamo Show. I am your host, James Erdt, the Chief Architect of WOW for Dynamo Entrepreneur, where entrepreneurs live well and do good. And we have a guy that does a lot of good in our community. He started something absolutely fantastic called the Echo Movement. But before we get into that, let's talk to Mr. Wayne Mouland.
How you doing, James?
I'm very well, thank you, and welcome him to the show.
Thank you very much for having me on the show, obviously. Very grateful, brother.
Oh,
fantastic guests.
Ditto. Yeah, isn't it great? You know, you get to see all these wonderful guests, wonderful people, you know, doing wonderful things in the community, and you're one of them. And one of the reasons, you know, why I think we connected is because we have a very similar past. You know, I mean,
yes, we do.
we had a chai tea the other day, and we went on for what was supposed to be an hour for like 5. Yeah. So that was awesome. So I'm just a big fan of what you're doing first, and I know how hard it is to get out of the lifestyle that both you and I led. So, you know, without further ado, let's talk a little bit about, you know, your past. Let's talk a little bit about, you know, getting vulnerable and maybe sharing with the audience some of the things that you went through as a young man.
Absolutely. Well, I was born and raised in Nova Scotia in kind of a rough neighborhood. And, you know, everybody was doing kind of the wrong things and stuff like that, and kind of took myself down that criminal element path. Got into drugs, other criminal activities. Moved to Toronto when I was 18. Continued on with the wrong path. Wrong crowd, wrong activities, the whole 9 years.
You name it, yeah.
I had 3 kids at that time, and I was looking at doing some serious time in jail, and that kind of was the light that went off, kind of thing. Okay, what are my kids going to do here? You know? I can't leave them high and dry here. I gotta. Yeah. It's the end of the line here with this type of lifestyle. Yeah. And I had to disassociate myself with everyone. Everybody. It was a pretty lonely period of time.
Hermitville.
Right. Pretty lonely period of time. Yeah. Which was actually beneficial because I find that you find yourself when you're by yourself. You know, when you're around everybody else, you know, you tend to kind of blend in with the energies that you're around and stuff like that. You don't really get a grasp of what it is you stand for, what it is you believe in, and what
Wow, they say you are the sum of your 5 relationships, so that makes absolute sense. Yeah. So if you're hanging out with undesirables, guess what?
You're going to get that same energy, right? So once I figured out all these things, like, for example, our attitude, our how we carry ourselves, how we treat others, what we listen to, what we watch, everything.
You name it.
It all combines together to become basically what we wish for to happen in our lives. Yep. And once I realized that, I was like, wow, you know what? I wish I had somebody who had explained this to me a long time ago. So I took it upon myself, made it my mission to spread this knowledge to as many people who are willing to listen to each other. You know, a lot of people.
That's great. Keyword willing. I like that you said that.
They have to be willing.
They have to be ready. You know, we all know you can take a horse to the water, but if the horse ain't drinking, it ain't drinking.
Make them drink. No,
true.
No. So you know what? I changed my life through the power of positive intention. Right. Keeping a positive mindset.
Interesting. Most people would say thinking. You know, you're saying positive intention. What's the difference?
Intention. Well, intention, when you wake up when I wake up in the morning, right? Intention is having that ability to remember, to have gratitude, right? Stay great. Gratefulness is the key to abundance, right? And just giving that direction to your day. So you know what? The day is going to go fantastic. And even to set an intention on your intention, that if things don't go your way, it's for a reason. Look for the lesson, right? There's always a lesson to be learned.
Silver lining in the cloud.
Right? There's always a lesson to be learned. And if you don't learn that lesson, you end up reliving the same situation.
And the lesson isn't something that you can't handle.
Exactly.
Right? We're all given stuff from the universe, you know, that we signed up for.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it was an incredible transformation. People who knew me then and people who know me now, they really see the difference.
Big difference.
I wouldn't hurt a fly. Yeah. I find a bug in my house, I take it outside.
Ditto. Right? Nice. It's all life.
It's all life. It's all good. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Yeah. On any level.
It's true.
You know, the animal kingdom as well. I've recently become vegetarian as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. So that's...
I've been meaning to. I haven't made the transition yet. I'm so inspired. I'm a big fan of a lot of athletes. You know, just watching them, some of these vegetarian and vegan athletes, and they're ranking up there with other athletes, you know, and just to learn their lifestyle and what it does for the planet and how it sustains the planet.
To see what's possible, right? Yeah. Some people think, oh, you know what, if you don't eat the meats, the proteins, you can't build muscle.
Yeah, well, you hear it so often.
Some of the vegan bodybuilders are some of the biggest guys you see out there, right? Yeah. So anything is possible when you put your mind to it, right?
It's true. It's true. So let's talk a little bit about now, you know, overcoming this stuff. You've got it kind of out of this world and you went into another world of giving back, and giving back on a rather large scale. You know, what does it take on a personal level? How do you kind of keep yourself going? Do you have mentors? Do you have anybody that inspires you? Do you take workshops or courses, or is this all stuff that's just coming out of you? This
was pretty much self-taught in the beginning until I started to, you know, do some investigation, do some, you know, looking into things. You know, people like Bob Proctor, people like Marcos Mendoza, who was on your show.
Yeah, he was our first guest. He was actually the winner, the champion of the first Dynamo Speaker Talent Search.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm actually...
He sat right there in that chair. Yeah, you know? That's right.
There's a lot of people. We could go on for hours.
Right.
There's Mark Gaudette,
Yes.
he's another one.
Doing big things,
Very
man.
motivational,
Yeah.
very
And what's
inspiring.
great is they're all coming out of Toronto, Canada.
Yeah.
What's in the water here, man?
There's something.
It's
There's
wild.
something,
There's an
brother, yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
There's a vortex of energy that's going on right now, a portal that's open.
That's a huge important part of everything, right? Who you surround yourself with.
true.
Right? We're a product of our environment, plain and simple. That's, although I do take responsibility for everything that I've done in my life,
Congratulations.
we were guided down that path. Back in those days, it was cool to be, that way, right? And I found out the hard way, it's not really that cool.
That's so cool.
And especially when you have children, you don't want to be that, the wrong influence on your kids.
It's true.
And it's funny because once I made my transformation, that whole placebo effect occurred with my kids as well. They kind of went through, without me having to even coach them or talk to them about it, they kind of fell on that same path, right? So it worked out great in that aspect about the kids.
How old are your kids?
I have my son Kyle, who's 21, my son Aaron, who's 18, and my daughter Jasmine, who's 13.
Are they part of the Echo
Hi,
movement?
guys. Yeah, they are.
Right on.
Yeah.
Before we get into the Echo movement, it's amazing how kids, they just keep us on the right track. If it wasn't for my daughter, I'd be gone.
They're very grounded,
I would have
right?
been dead at a very, very young age, in my 20s. When my daughter looked at me and said, "Hey, Dad, you know what? You're either gonna end up dead or you're gonna end up back in prison. What if I need you? What if I need you?" Those words hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Bam! Right? Wow, what an a-hole I've been. How selfish have I been? That there turned everything around, and I was on my 9th life. Like, we're talking, some crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. So when your kids say that to you and they really allow you to utilize getting together with them and being with them and teaching them and training them and having them train you, vice versa, and truly becoming their friend on a friend level versus a parent, that's what saved me.
That's
is
why
when
I
I
was
became
glad,
friends with my kids.
That's why I was glad I had them early, right? Because there's no generation
Really early.
gap there. And it was funny because my parents, I had great parents. My parents were sensational people.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom, right? But they just didn't know, they didn't experience these things. Like
Different
we did,
worlds.
right? We, on the other hand, we know all about what's going on out there. So my kids couldn't really get away with the same stuff I did, right? So.
You know what? We're going to come right back. We're going to talk about the Echo movement. We're going to take a short commercial break. Thank you so much for tuning in with Wayne and I. We're going to get back and we're going to talk a little bit about Echo, Echo, Echo. Welcome back to the Dynamo Show. I'm your host, James Erdt. I'm sitting here with my good friend, Wayne Mouland. We are about to talk about the Echo movement. Take it away, Wayne.
The Echo movement is something I came up with after I found meditation, which I believe is one of the key elements to a beautiful future for everyone. Right?
Yeah.
It really changed my life to a degree where I just wanted everyone else to have the opportunity to feel the same way, right? To see the same things, to take their lives, to actually take the steering wheel, right? To take control of our thoughts, our intentions, and just really redirect everything to a positive place.
Life is not about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself, you know?
Exactly.
Taking that divine guidance and really listening and being open-minded and having an open heart, and then taking charge, grabbing that steering wheel and be guided.
100%. So after I, became better at it, got better at it, like anything, right? You do it more, the more you're going to get better at it.
That's it.
And it just changed my life to a degree of, I can't even explain it. It was just total transformation. And I just said, you know what, if I can do this for myself on an individual basis, what can we all do together collectively?
Wow,
right?
powerful.
So I figured, you know what, let's do group meditations where, the intention has been set when we started this group, that we're going to have millions of people meditating the same guided meditation, which is all peace and love, and great things for everyone on this planet.
All inclusive.
The more powerful energy that we can put out there,
Yep.
the more it's going to come back and manifest into the reality here.
It's true.
You know, it's what we see in the world today is a product of what we're watching on TV,
Yeah.
you know, what we're thinking,
Yeah.
all the different stuff that we really don't need to be paying any attention to, really.
Yeah.
Right? So I just said, you know what, let's put this group together.
And how fast is it growing? I mean, like, when did you start? Like May?
Started
March?
it in May.
May.
We've got it almost 3,000 members
That's
right
crazy.
now. I know,
That's
it's
like
amazing.
fast, man. That's like bum, 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 bum. That's
Yeah.
the law of attraction.
There's a Facebook page as well, and
Yeah.
there's a website.
Share the Facebook page with them. I would love them to
It's
join.
the Echo Movement, right? And you can go to www.echomovement.ca. We're just completing the website right now. We're
Looks
finishing
good.
touches
Congrats.
and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
very excited, right?
Yeah, it's an exciting
and
time.
it ended up turning into a humanitarian group as well.
Yeah.
We do work with the homeless.
Okay.
We're going to advocate to the school board and educational system that we want to get meditation implemented into early childhood education here, not only in Canada, but across the planet. It does wonders. There's no reason why everybody shouldn't be doing this.
Even the ADHD kids?
Everybody.
Yeah.
I would say especially the ADHD.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. You know, how do you
Definitely.
slow a kid down that, you know, when they're like buzzing around like that, you know, and you were to implement something like that in a school at a young age? You know, do you find challenges with that? Is it something that...
Yeah, of course you're going to have a little bit of a challenge, but
Yeah.
like anything else, like we talked about earlier, it's all about doing it, right? Once
Yeah.
you get them to try it the one time,
Yeah.
do it again, stay consistent with it.
Yeah.
It's all in the breathing, right? So the
is.
majority is in the breathing.
Yeah,
Right,
it's
so-
interesting when you actually go to a school and you present something like this, and as long as it's done in a practical way, where you're talking more about the body and the physicality of what's going on when you're meditating versus talking about it in a spiritual sense. Give you an example. I was speaking in a school in Hamilton. It was to a group of grade 9 and grade 10 girls. I had a partner. I was the physical part. I was the body, the nutrition side of things, and she was talking more about awareness, she called it. And we actually got reprimanded by the school for bringing up awareness and talking about the universe because they thought we were preaching some sort of religion or cult type stuff, right? And it was really just new age speaking. But perception is reality, right? And when you have all these different religions in the schools, you're going to encounter some resistance, right?
Yeah.
So if you were to go to a school with meditation, would you bring up the spiritual side of things, or would you keep it to just the practical side of things?
I think you struck a good point there. We could keep it on the physical level and then let them come into their own spiritual level.
And they will.
They will.
They will, by paying
Definitely.
attention to themselves. And
Absolutely.
quieting the mind. Yeah.
It's all about quieting the
Yeah.
mind.
Any projects from the Echo Movement or Wayne Mouland coming up?
Well, we're working now together with Scott Mission. We
Yeah.
do food and clothing drives.
Great organization.
Yeah,
Been around a long
fantastic.
time.
Or 502 Spadina. They
Yeah.
do great work with the homeless and less fortunate.
Yeah.
We're doing work with them, like I said, with the food drives and the clothing drives that we do. And like I said, we're going to advocate meditation into the educational programs. And we also raise awareness for veterans and stuff like that who go through rough times for the circumstances where they had to deal with.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Really, the group is to shine light on any group or organization who's doing any kind of service to the community, humanity, whatnot, whether it be any kind of facet, right? Children, the homeless,
Yeah.
veterans.
The works.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's open for anything, right? And we'd like to have everybody come join the network so that everybody can be accessible, because there's a lot of people out there, they have to give, they want to give, they just don't know who to give
Or where to begin.
it to, right?
Yeah.
And who to trust
True.
with the money.
What
right?
organization?
And that's why when we work with any individual or organization or group, we investigate, we check them out, and once we see the good that they're doing with the community, we'll put them on the website and give them some access and some reach.
One of the great things, when I actually met you, one of the first things you were talking about was the business that you're in. You know, you're working in restoration and disaster relief and helping people, but instead of talking about the practical side of that and what you're actually doing, you talked about how you're helping the individual, the people, to overcome those big challenges in their life, because it's devastating. You have a disaster, your house gets wiped out, or you have a flood. That's devastating. And when we started talking about it, I thought you were going to start telling me about the practical side of the business, and you went right into the humanitarian side. So I commend you for that.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate that.
Just everything you're doing. You know, on a final note, you know, how did they get a hold of you, buddy?
Well, you can reach me at the ECA Movement on Facebook.
Yeah.
You can go to www.ecamovement.ca.
Cool.
You can reach me at w.mouland, M-O-U-L-A-N-D, at hotmail.com.
Awesome. That was Wayne Mouland, everyone. This is the Dynamo Show. This was episode 11. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you at episode 12. Namaste.
You